Hi, my name is Jen Farley, and I believe that there is a rock star within all of us. So I am going on the road and talking to people that I believe are rock stars in what they do. Today I'm in Madison, Wisconsin, downtown, at Lev Apparel with its owner, founder, and CEO, Krystle Marks.
Hello.
So, Lev Apparel, how old is Lev Apparel?
Lev's a baby. Lev's, well, not quite. It's a toddler. It's
Toddler?
three.
Three? Okay.
A little over 3 years old. Yes.
Yes. Tell us a little bit about what Lev Apparel is.
Sounds good. We are a women's clothing brand. That's the simple way to put it.
Okay.
It's a little more complex than that. We believe that empowered women empower women.
Mm-hmm.
So we like to say we create the ultimate cycle of women empowering women through job creation and through your purchasing power. So we manufacture clothing that is made by women that are being paid a fair living wage. So anybody who's at risk, women who are at risk of poverty or trafficking, we want to make sure that she has a sustainable job so that she's not at risk any longer. And so that's who makes our clothing.
Oh my gosh!
Yeah.
So you were calling it ethical clothing? An
Yes.
ethical clothing line?
Yes, an ethical clothing line. So we're transparent about what our artisans are actually making. We want to make sure that she's not just making ends meet, like she's actually thriving and actually can pass that on to her family, and then that actually changes generations. Typically in other parts of the world where we know a lot of our clothing's not made in the US anymore.
Right.
It's typically shipped out to other parts of the world, and oftentimes, unfortunately, people are exploited, and that's why we've been able to ship it out to areas that don't have as much boundaries around how we treat other people. And that was the hard thing that I learned. And so what Lev does is we just try to make sure that she's getting paid fairly. So when we do that, she's living a better life.
Tell me a little bit about your background, how you got started. Where did your love of fashion come from? Because this is not your first foray in the fashion world.
No, not in the fashion world. Definitely in the manufacturing production side.
Mm-hmm.
It's a whole different world, but I did start as a personal stylist, which I just really enjoyed the process of making women feel beautiful in their own skin. And from what I was seeing in my own experience, and I think it was a lot of women that I've come into contact with in their experience too, is that they were just feeling like they were constantly being told what they should be and how they should look, instead of celebrating all of our differences.
Mm-hmm.
And so when I got into personal styling, I was helping women figure out what's your shape and what can we do to celebrate how you were created and the beauty that you already hold. And so I started in that space of helping women just totally do a head-to-toe makeover, basically, through clothing, and if they wanted other advice on hair and makeup, I could also offer that, but it was mainly clothing. And it's really impactful to see yourself in a whole new way and love and accept yourself where you are. It's a lot about making you feel like you need something that you don't. And it's kind of filling the lack. I think we're fed a lot of messages like, there's something wrong, so I need to fix it.
Yeah.
And that's what I found oftentimes with the fashion industry in particular, was that we're trying to fill up this thing because you feel like there's something wrong and we need to fix it. And so in styling and in Lev, we come at it from a different spirit. It's actually, there's nothing wrong with you. Let's celebrate who you are and what you have already.
Right. I mean, it's like combating the whole diet culture and body imaging and, I mean, billion dollar businesses making money
off of shame, basically.
Yes.
Right? Yes, totally.
Yeah.
So it's like why don't we do something different? What if we were motivated by love instead of shame? What would that look like? Right?
As a personal stylist,
Yes.
how did you get to the heart of the matter?
That's a really great question. So one of the main reasons I became a personal stylist, of course, was to empower and make women feel good. But a huge part of it was to be honest, to strip things away, I was a shopaholic. I enjoyed shopping. I just loved it. And I'm like, well, if I can't do it for myself all the time, maybe I can do it for somebody else. And that's just being honest. I was just kind of trying to fill that void, and really came to the realization that, oh wow, somebody else is making my clothes, or these clothes that I'm getting other people to buy. And I found out, this is the biggest thing that I think turned everything around for me. This is a stat that you will never be able to unhear. It's that there are 40 million, think about that number, 40 million garment workers in the world today that probably don't live down the street from you, right? That's a lot of people. And out of that, 85 to 90% of them are women making less than $3 a day.
Whoa.
Yeah. And no matter where you live, that's extreme poverty.
Yeah.
That is way below, no matter what their government is saying, that is way below what they should be making for the time they're putting in and the effort. And making clothing, I learned later, is very physically demanding. It's not like we have machines making our clothes right now. We have people. So every clothing item that we wear is produced by a person.
Yeah.
And so when I learned that, I'm like, just because of where I was born, honestly, I have privilege. I have the upper hand. I could be I could be sitting across from somebody right now who could be a friend, a sister, who was put in a position where she had no choice.
Right.
And even worse than being a garment worker, there's other things that women face when they're put into extreme poverty. But just knowing that and learning that statistic, I personally, and I don't judge anybody for the choices that they make, but I couldn't personally participate anymore once my heart kind of got exposed and open to that specific topic in the fashion industry.
Wow.
Which we just don't know. You don't know what you don't know. Right? And I feel like the veil was like pulled away with food 10, 15 years ago, maybe like 15 years ago. And I feel like we're starting to do it with the clothing industry too.
That is so interesting. Yeah. But I love what you took something that you were passionate about shopping, right? And then you took a step deeper and made it about improving or empowering women to feel good about themselves. And then you took it a step further and uncovered, like you were saying, uncovered the veil of the chain of how we get things.
Yes.
So then you took that passion that you had for shopping and then you've put purpose into it. So now you've created this fashion line that has a purpose.
And how beautiful. Oh, so I think the number one question, I think as women too, we ask this all the time when we learn new things about people especially who are suffering. We go, what can we do? And I think that question is so overwhelming, right?
Yes.
It's like, I don't even know where to start. And so when I kind of dove in, and I was very overwhelmed by the topic, and it actually took my heart probably a good year and a half to really make the switch, because it's just so much to comprehend. Like, wow, am I really contributing to suffering? Or how can I make a change? It's too big. And I just really came to the realization, it's really, the change is quite simple. It's giving fair living wages. That's the simple solution. So I knew of jewelry brands and of home good brands that did things like that. They would hire artisans, pay them a fair living wage, and then the Western world, we would just expose that to women and say, hey, if you purchase this, you're actually giving fair living wages to this mom, and she can actually take care of her kids, and her kids can go to school, and they can have health care, and it breaks the poverty cycle. That's no small thing, even though the solution is quite simple. And so when I realized that, I went, wow, I just wanted an opportunity to partner with something that was bigger than me, that was a part of the solution to the problem, so it didn't feel so big and overwhelming. And so that's where kind of, the idea of Lev really came out of, is anybody can purchase a t-shirt. You're going to spend a little bit more, but it'll probably last you a little longer. And you're partnering with someone. How meaningful is that piece now? Because it's actually contributing to somebody else's life.
when you decided to listen to your heart and to do something, what was your first step? How do you start a clothing line?
So great. It's so funny because I actually had that exact conversation with a friend after I shut down my personal styling business and announced that I was going to be starting a clothing brand. And I went to pick up my daughter. She was taking care of my daughter, and she just looked at me and she's like, so how does one start a clothing brand? And I looked at her and I'm like, I have no idea, but I know I'm going to find out.
Yeah.
And so kind of the first step, I think after that is, you just try to figure out all the moving parts and pieces. And originally I think I thought that we would actually create artisan partners, like actually create artisan groups. And I realized that that is a whole nother job to the multiple jobs that you would be trying to do, So then it became about, well, who can we find a partner with that's already doing this that we could have make our products?
Okay.
So that was really the very first step, but it still took us, I would say probably 1.5 years before we actually had product at our doorstep. From that start point. So I want y'all to know that it takes a lot of time.
It does.
The second step I think would be for our business, was finding a really good pattern maker that could take my designs and bring them to life so that our artisan partnerships could actually create them in manufacturing.
Yeah.
Those were 2 big hurdles, but I seriously, I felt like I had watched the whole internet to try or scoured it to try to find our artisan partners. Like I was like, they don't exist. And starting an artisan partnership, just anybody for clothing is expensive. So you need all this major equipment. You need cutting tools that are major. You need a huge printing press. So it's not as common as like an ethical jewelry brand or a home good brand, because you need so much skill and you need so many equipment pieces. I didn't know any of that when I started. I knew nothing about that.
Yeah.
So I didn't realize that it would be really difficult, and I kind of turned up empty for a long time, and then we found a better who actually goes all over the world and finds artisan partnerships and connects them with brands. And she was a lifesaver. So that's how we got our first partnership. And the other ones have been through relationships and finding them through other people.
So how many artisan partners do you have now?
We currently have 3. We have Work Shelter, who's in New Delhi, India. Then we have Lev Apparel, which is in Vietnam. And then we have our jewelry partnership, which is the Starfish Project in East Asia. We're really proud of all 3 of those partnerships.
That's amazing.
They're doing amazing work for women in those areas.
So you had said that you start with the design. So you start with your idea.
Yes.
And you sketch that out on paper.
Yeah.
Take me through the process.
It's an extensive process, and we're only part of it, right? So I'm not on the end of manufacturing necessarily, but how we do it is we develop. So I start with, like you said, the sketch, or I'll come up with a concept and idea, and I bring that to our pattern maker. It's really important in this business to have a really good pattern maker because they save you a lot. And so we kind of chat through things, and then we'll come back with our first prototype. Now we do that with each piece about 4 times. So each time you're making all these tweaks back and forth to make sure it is exactly the way you want it. And at the end of that, then you have your pattern and what they call your tech pack. So it has all the information for your manufacturers to know how to put the piece together and all the measurements that they're going to need. And that takes, that's a long process. That's at least, depending on the piece, it can be 4 to 6 months.
Just one piece.
That's not even manufacturing. So that's just the process of getting a design put together. Yeah, it's an extensive, long process, and so we're doing ethical fashion, also known as slow fashion, and you can see why, because the process is very long, and then we want our artisans to not be rushed or not be on a time like where they're working crazy amounts of hours. So then our manufacturing process, once it goes into manufacturing after development, takes also a long time. So from the start of a piece to getting it at our doorstep, we're looking at 9 to 12 months.
Wow.
Yeah.
For
one piece.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my goodness.
Yes. So it is very, and there's lots of nuances within that. There's lots of even, from a business owner standpoint, a lot of business owners are probably watching this. It is interesting. Cash flow is interesting because you're putting a lot of money out for development and production before you even get your product to your door. Yeah. Now, a lot of people would say that's not a good business model. And I would say we have a wonderful community that helps in a lot of ways to ensure that we continue moving forward and creating more sustainable jobs for women. So because of my work as a personal stylist, I realized this is another statistic you can't get rid of, that most of our apparel is made for 8% of American women. So if we go through the mainstream design, it's made for a really lean hourglass. How many lean hourglasses do we know? Can't think of very many. They do exist, right? There are. It's a legitimate body shape, right? Like they all are, but only 8% of American women will identify with that shape. And I went, when I was shopping for women, I'd have to teach them, this shape won't work very well, but these shapes will. And that's really empowering to know this will always work for my body shape. And so I thought about that. That's the beginning and the starting point of every design. Who is this being designed and made for? And actually, if you go on our website, you can figure out what your shape is by taking our body shape quiz, and then you can shop based on your shape, because we always start there first. Because it's so important. You're not going to be the same shape as me, and depending on our height and our torso and our leg length and differences, I mean, we could be the same size, but a totally different shape, and things will work differently on you than they will on me. So you have to know that and not despise or hate that. It's actually just to liberate you and make you go, I'm going to own who I am and dress for that. So every design starts with that as the foundation. Who are we designing this for? Who is she? What's her life like? What is her body shape? And then we move into, well, what colors would she want? And then we go on from there. What would really fit in with her lifestyle? So that's kind of the starting point.
Work for Lev itself?
That's a good question. Right now, I have a operations manager, which is my right-hand lady, which is very helpful. Ashley Olson, she's lovely. And then I have an intern right now. But that's it.
And you?
And me. And both of those are new hires this year. So it was been a lot of juggling a lot of different parts of, I mean, you do everything. You fulfill and you design and you run the website and you do customer service, like you do all the things. Everybody knows, like there's so many hats you wear, right, as an entrepreneur. But that's it. That's our little team right now.
I mean, you're constantly on social media, in the front of social media. I've been here and seen you packing items to send out. So you are doing it all. I mean,
and as we grow, I'm sure that'll change and adjust. But that's what it looks like right now, 3.5 years in. Just kind of still got to wear some of the hats, and then you can I got to pass them on to Ashley, and that's great.
Good. So you are also a mom of 2 kiddos. Who are fairly young. I mean,
youngish.
I
look at my baby, I'm like, you're 8? What's happening?
That's the worst.
Yes, my baby's 8. 11 and 8. I have Charlie and Lachlan.
So what do they think about their mom having her own fashion line? Or
that's a great question. I don't know that Lachlan thinks about it a whole lot yet. They've been here when I'm packaging orders and things like that, but my daughter Charlie is she's very driven. She's like a fiery redhead. And she has said, she's like, Mom, I want to take over Love when when it's time. And I'm like, okay, if that's what you want to do. But she's and what did she say? The other day she's like, I would like to be a junior intern. That's what she told me. She's like, I'd like to be a junior intern. I was like, okay, we can work that out. But is
she writing the job description?
I think basically, which I'm like, oh, that's what our intern does. But she's very involved. She loves, and what I love too, something that really cracked my heart open to the issues of poverty and trafficking was me and Charlie, my daughter, have participated in Dresscember. Which you've probably seen.
I've seen that, yes.
Yeah, we wear a dress every day in December to raise awareness for anti-human trafficking, basically. She was involved in that, so when we transferred over, she understands now, like, how it contributes. like actually empowering women through fair wage work, which is such a sweet gift to give an 11-year-old that has that understanding. So it's meaningful to her. So when I bring once in a while, she's starting to get old enough to wear some of the pieces. The length might be a little off, but she's like starting to get to that age. So she has a skirt and she has a dress right now, and she's like, she understands what that means, which is so cool. And I think that's why it's precious to her, and that's why she wants to participate too. She knows the impact that it's making. Yeah.
Do you ever hear directly from the workers that you partner with about the impact that you're making?
It's a great question. It's a very delicate dance because there's a really fine line between you don't want to exploit them.
Right.
You know what I mean? It's such a weird, like you don't want to also exploit their story to get your stuff sold. Like it's just this, we've had to have conversations with, because that was very much what we were after in the beginning, and just really understanding more from our artisans, like we want to continue to maintain their privacy and their dignity.
Yep.
Right? That's the whole point. And so we've had some really great glimpses of them working, and we've heard stories. I mean, I think our most vocal partnership is our artisan partnership who does our jewelry, where, I mean, these women are coming out of being rescued, quite literally rescued out of the brothels in East Asia. And so their stories are completely heartbreaking, but also magnificent, because these women, not only are they getting training through Starfish Project and they're getting out, they're getting into a safe home, they have time to heal, they get to learn the trade, but a lot of these women are going on, they're becoming marketers, lawyers, photographers. This partnership is amazing. So we get to hear their stories often. And so there's varying levels and degrees of what we're allowed to be let in on their lives, and it's all, and culturally there's a lot of differences.
Right.
Like there might be more privacy expected in New Delhi than there will be maybe in Vietnam. So it's just this, there's all these nuances that you're trying to make sure that you're maintaining their privacy as well. But I want to know more of their story, but when they're comfortable, we have to build trust too. So I'm hoping someday that we can get there, but we do hear a lot from our Starfish Project team, and that's really special.
That's awesome. So tell me what it was like the first time that you received.
Oh my gosh, a package?
Yes.
Oh.
The first time you
gosh.
received one of your pieces.
It was very surreal. It was so bizarre and so wonderful. Our first run that we did was 5 pieces. I think we received 4 because one had to go back and it needed some help. But we received 4 pieces all at once, and 125 pieces in per colorway. So that's a lot of pieces that you get dropped at your door, and you have no concept of what that actually looks like until they're here. But to open the boxes and to see them in real life was just crazy. And to start wearing, it's so crazy to wear your own clothes and watch other people you love wear them.
Yeah.
Like, it is just the coolest. But it was, I think I was in shock for the first, like, oh my gosh, they're here, because we worked a year and a half to get them here. So yeah, it was a fun moment. That's a highlight moment for sure. Yeah, it's pretty great. Once we saw the orders come in our community surround us, that was also major. Because we're not doing this, we can't do this alone. There's no way, we can't grow alone, we can't offer more work opportunities alone. So to watch that was also, I think that's the biggest, and that's the joy that I get out of it, probably most out of anything. I mean, it's fun to receive the new product, but to see how other people are partnering intentionally with their dollars is like incredible. It's very humbling.
So, Krystle, do you consider yourself a rock star, and how do you tap into that feeling?
It's a hard question to answer. I think I feel proud of what Lev is. I think I feel honored to be a part of the process. I think my favorite part, and I hope I'm not trying to scoot that question, but I think my favorite part is that we get to allow other people to be a part of it.
Yeah.
So not only do I get to be a part of the process and the partnership, but so many other people get to. And so other people get to be a rock star too, because we're all kind of moving towards the same goal. I think on a daily basis I remember the why.
Yeah.
I have to, otherwise so many things go wrong. So many things go right, but so many things go wrong.
Yeah.
And at that point where you're ready to hide underneath your desk and rock back and forth and just be at the end and be like, I'm throwing in the towel, what I have to come back to draw on for that question is what is the why? And what we come back to for Lev is it's always about, are we creating hope? Are we chasing justice? And are we restoring lives? And those are the three things. And so if I can look at our line and go, are we doing those three things, and say yes, then that's where I feel like I'm drawing from that. And I think we are.
Yeah.
So no matter what comes up and what turbulent things happen, the why is so important.
Yeah, you have a very clear mission.
Those values have to be there.
Yeah.
I mean, that's a huge, So I actually had a really wonderful mentor be like, you need to put down your values.
Mm-hmm.
And those three were the forefront. And I will never let go of those, because that's why Lev is here.
So what does success look like?
Yeah, I don't measure success like a lot of maybe business owners,
Mm-hmm.
probably because I'm more artist than anything. I think success looks like, it's always amazing. I mean, the end goal, right, is to create more job opportunities. So if we're looking at success from that standpoint, but I think just saying yes to something that's really scary was success. And I'm going to choose to say yes to something that I have no clue what the outcome is going to be.
Yeah.
Like that for me felt like success.
Mm-hmm.
Like, okay, I'm just gonna do what I know I feel like I was called to do, step into that, and that was success. I feel the most proud of that, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, so the other things that come along the way are fun, and of course the goal is to make more jobs. But I think if we continue to do that, if I can continue to do that, that is hugely successful in my opinion.
So my number one favorite question to ask,
Cool.
what is your Rockstar theme song?
Oh.
What song gets you through those hard times?
What song? You know, it's actually a little bit more of a recent song, I feel like, in the last year or so. And it's by Rihanna. It's called Dancing in the Dark. You ever heard of
Dancing
that?
in the
Dancing in the
Dark.
Dark. And she talks about in there about, we're going to light up the night. And I think about that a lot, like shining a light in the darkness. We all have the opportunity to do that. And I just feel like we're going to light up the night. I'm just going to be a shooting star that just lights it up. That's my theme song.
I love it. So what is next for Lev?
What is next for Lev? We're in an in-between year where this is literally, I'm serious, this was make it or break it year. We're year 3. And I believe we're going in a good trajectory. So this is what's next for Lev is thinking about growth.
Yeah.
What does that look like, and what are all the moving parts and pieces to that? So I don't think that is not a very tangible, concrete answer. There's growing pains, right?
Mm-hmm,
And so just kind of gearing up for that, but excited.
Yeah.
Because I see all the potential that Lev has, and I think in the next coming years, even Madison's side. So of course we're creating jobs. So if we're going to talk dreamy, because this is what this is about, right?
Right.
Let's talk about dreamy.
Yes,
now.
dream big, babe.
Let's dream.
Mm-hmm.
So of course we're creating jobs for women in other parts of the world, and that's great. But I want to know what our impact here is going to be here in Madison. And from the beginning, and I feel like we're getting closer and closer, we want to create jobs in Madison for women who have been exploited in Dane County.
Wow.
And that's big. And a lot of women who have a past of, sexual exploitation, which is often labeled as prostitution, it's hard to get jobs because you have a criminal record and there's other offenses that are typically around. And this is just the reality.
Right.
And I didn't know this stuff until I learned more about it. So what we want to be, we want Lev to be an incubator for once women are getting healing and they've gotten out of the lifestyle, to have a stepping stone of employment that is solid and that she can build upon to get to where she needs to go. Mm-hmm. Whether that's growing up within Lev or she's here for a period of time and then gets to move on.
Yeah.
That's the big, grandiose, why don't we just create opportunity for women all over, including our own backyard?
Exactly. It's not ignoring your own backyard.
Yes, because there's plenty of need here.
Yeah.
And not just need, we get the opportunity to partner and learn from other women as well.
So how can people find you? How can people support your line?
There's a few different ways you can support us. The biggest way is clearly if you're a woman and you like clothes, to support by shopping. I mean, that's huge for us, of course. And you can go to our website, www.levapparel.com. rockstarwithin.com. You can also find us on Instagram. Our handle is @lev.apparel. And those are probably the two ways that you can get to know us more and kind of just check us out and learn what we're about and see our pieces. But those are probably the best ways. Share, if you do end up getting a piece from Lev, sharing that with your friends and family. We want this to be a super authentic growth. Like I really want people to love their pieces, and not only that, love the impact that they're making and share that genuinely with people. And that's what we've been seeing, which is really fun. And that's why we don't call our customers customers. They're not. They're community members. We're all in this together and moving towards a common goal.
Thank you.
Thank you. Oh, wait.
What?
I have something for you.
What?
My rockstar friend. Okay. Yes, I have these three.
More than earrings, this is a gift of hope. Stop it. Oh my God, these are gorgeous. I'll show you.
They're little star crawlers. I'm wearing them too, but it's hard to see. But yeah, you can put them. Yeah, they're just these great little petite star crawlers, and they're called the Illuminate Star earrings. And these give hope to women in East Asia who are coming out of the brothels. So they're very meaningful, and it's a reminder to you that you're a rock star, number one. Number two, that you're lighting up, illuminating in the darkness when you choose things like that.
Oh my gosh.
And to bring exposure to what these, all your amazing entrepreneurs are doing. So thank you.
Thank you. Oh my gosh, I love it. Thank you.
You're welcome. Enjoy. Thanks.